Hey guys, it's Caitlin, and today I'm going to be sharing with you all of the books that I want to read in December. So I had a pretty good reading month in November, so I'm hoping to have another good reading month in December. So I was pretty ambitious with my December TBR, and so hopefully I get to most of them. But if not, that's okay. So without further ado, let's get right into it. The first book I want to read in the month of December is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. So I don't know too much about this book, but what I do know is that it follows this girl named Addie LaRue, and back in the 1700s she made a deal with the devil so that she could live forever. But everyone that she ever, the second she leaves their company, they would forget her. I have no idea how she even went about writing this book, and every single review that I've read for it absolutely devours it and loves it. I don't want to know too much more about it, but I do know that I'm really excited to read this. I love V.E. Schwab's work, and I cannot wait to find out how it goes about writing a book like this. The next book I'm actually currently reading, but I'm hoping to finish in the month of December, and that is Our Dark Duet by Victoria Schwab. So I read this Savage song this year, and I really liked it. I read it on audiobook, and I loved it. So I'm reading this on audiobook right now, and I'm only about 60 pages in right now. I am wanting to finish it, so I decided to add it to this list. Basically, this book follows the events of the first book, and the two main characters, Kate Harker and August Flynn. August is a monster, a Sunai monster, and Kate is the daughter of someone very powerful in this world, and she is starting to hunt monsters to kind of avoid everything that happened in the first book. And August is finally accepting that he is a monster and that he can't always act like a human, but then she shows up and things kind of start going awry. So that's all I'm going to say about this book, because I don't want to spoil anything about the previous book, but I am really excited to finish this one and finish the duology as a whole this year. So my next book is the first contemporary on this list, and it's also a little romantic, would be You'd Be Mine by Erica Hahn. This book I'm super excited to read. Basically, it follows Annie and Clay. Both are country music stars. That title kind of landed in Annie's lap because her family is a country music legend, and she tries to avoid that spotlight after her parents' recent death. She has been making videos on YouTube and becoming very famous there. And so Clay, his label, really wants to sign Annie, and they have made it his mission to go and convince Annie to come on tour with him, and if he can't convince her to do that, then he is going to be dropped from the label. So this follows them after he convinces her to follow him on tour, as well as their journey on tour once the fans see them together, and of course ship them as a couple. The next book would be Challenger Deep by Neil Shusterman. This is a mental health book, and it follows our main character Caden as he struggles with a mental illness, as he believes that he is on this ship called Challenger Deep, and when in reality his friends are starting to notice that he's acting a little weird and that he just joined the track team, but really all he does is walk for miles and miles to kind of just think about everything going on ahead. And this follows his journey through all that. I've heard nothing but good things about this book. I am really excited to pick this up. The next book I'm really surprised that I haven't already read, and that's The Lost Book of the White by Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu. So this is the second book in the Eldest Curses series, her Magnus and Alex series. This series follows them through their relationship. The first book follows them on their first vacation together, and this follows them as they deal with something that they have never dealt with before. I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not going to say too much, but this follows Magnus and Alex to Shanghai when Magnus's Book of the White is stolen and the thieves go to Shanghai. as if that isn't problematic enough, Magnus also gets stabbed and his wound starts to glow, and as that gets worse, his magic becomes very unstable. So this book sounds like it has a lot going on in it, and we also get to see the characters from the Mortal Instruments appear here, and it just sounds like an amazing book that I'm super excited to read. This came out back in September. I am just over the moon, ready to read this. I have been waiting for it, and it's about time that I sit down and read it. The next book on this list is in another series. It's actually the conclusion of a series, and that is Imagine Me by Tahara Moff. So this is the 6th and final book in the Shatter Me series, and I have been reading the Shatter Me series throughout the year, and this is the final book. It just came out this year, and I have not gotten to it yet, but I am very excited to read this. I usually listen to these on audiobook while I'm driving or doing something else. I love listening to these on audiobook, and I have heard a lot of other people do as well, especially people that they've tried to regularly read it and it's not really their thing. I can't say too much about this because it is the 6th book in the series, but I can say that the stakes are getting very high, and I'm excited to see how everything wraps up. The next book was actually one of my most anticipated releases for this year, and I'm very upset that I haven't gotten to it yet, but it is Deadly Curious by Cindy Ants. This book takes place in 1834, and this woman wants nothing more than to be a detective. But during this time period, that's not really a thing that happens. There has never been a female on a detective task force, and so it's her dream to become a detective, so she doesn't let this go. And she finally gets a chance to show what she do when her cousin Daphne sends her a letter saying that she wants her to look into the death of Daphne's brother. She convinces a policeman to help her, and between the two of them, they unravel some family secrets and also get to the bottom of this suspicious family death. The next book on this list is a hunker. That is Lair of Dreams by Libba Bray. So I read The Diviner back in October. I'm very late to read this series, but I absolutely fell in love with it, and so I am very eagerly waiting to read this book. This book follows the events after the first book. I don't want to spoil anything, but basically there are these people called diviners, and they have special abilities, and this book follows the main character Evie from the first book, but it also follows 2 other characters that their diviner ability is to be able to walk in dreams. And across New York City, there has been a sleeping illness. That sounds like a really cool concept to me, so I'm really excited to pick this up, especially to dive deeper into this amazing world. And the last book on this list is Ash Lord. This book is all about phoenix horses and how gods have gifted phoenix horses to the Ash Lord. Ever since then, they have been racing them. But this year, this race, it's different because there are 3 competitors that are all competing for something very special to them. No one wants the title more, so it gets very competitive. So I am a horse lover, so I'm really looking forward to this, as I've never heard of this kind of phoenix horse concept, so I'm really excited. So those are all of the books that I want to read in the month of December. It is very ambitious of me to want to read 9 books in a month, especially that month being December, but I'm really looking forward to it. So make sure and comment down below and tell me what books you want to read this month. Don't forget to hit that like button and that red subscribe button and the bell next to it so you get notified every time that I post. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!